Eric S5 on the MiSTer FPGA forums made a post of a Commodore 128 core he's working on. It's a computer he had when he was younger and still owns now, but was afraid it may die one day. So he took it upon himself to learn FPGA development and create a core dedicated to the C128. He forked the MiSTer C64 core because the Commodore 128 was basically a Commodore 64 with some extra chips added in. The core isn't 100% complete, but there's already some software running. Commodore 128 specific features already implemented are MMU fully implemented and tested using Vice test programs, VDC partially implemented, memory interface is, video output is not, Z80 implemented, simple users work, but CPM does not yet boot. Booting in C64, C128, or Z80 mode, automatic detection of .crt files, C64 cartridges boot in C64 mode, C128 cartridges boot in C128 mode. C128.crt files must contain a C128 cartridge header to be detected. Loading of .prg files to the correct memory location in C128 mode. The core is still a work in project, but can be downloaded from the project's GitHub. If you also want to see the core in action, check out the developer's YouTube channel. The in-progress PCXT core that I spoke about in one of my previous news videos is available in beta form and can be downloaded from the project's GitHub. In the latest beta, it is now based on the KF PCXT, another FPGA PCXT core. It's using Sergei Kiselev's XT8088 BIOS project, and a turbo mode was enabled. 4.77 or 7.16 MHz is selectable from the on-screen display. A feature from the first beta that I find really cool is the monochrome monitor simulation options. You have the option to set this to green, amber, or black and white. RCA Victor Co. on Twitter announced they are creating a new MiSTer FPGA core for the arcade game Psyhic 5. The game was developed by NMK and published by Jaleco. It's a platformer action game that features hovering as an important game mechanic. I also want to highlight the developer's Patreon page where they discuss other cores being worked on. I already spoke about the Nemesis core that's in development in a previous video, and you can try out a beta for it right now. Other games being worked on right now are for the Konami GX400 hardware, Konami Bubble System, Nemesis/Konami GT, Salamander/Life-Force, Kitten Caboodles, and Hypercrash. Games being planned are SETA hardware games like New Zealand Story, Chelnov/Karnov, Outrun. Boy, would I love to see Superscalar games on MiSTer. Darius, the 3-screen version, Darius 2, 3 and 2-screen versions, and Title F3 based games. Please consider supporting on Patreon to help fund the development of these cores. On the MiSTer FPGA forums, Paul B&L decided to take the Super NES and Game Boy cores and combine them so that all Super Game Boy functions could work. The result is a new core that only supports the Super Game Boy. Adding Super Game Boy support to the Super NES core wouldn't fit into the DE10 Nanos FPGA, so a dedicated core was a solution to get this working. You have the option to choose between 3 different speeds: Super Game Boy 1, Super Game Boy 2, and Super NES. The Super Game Boy 1 mode represents the slightly faster speed the original Super Game Boy ran compared to a real portable Game Boy. The Super Game Boy 2 mode represents the fixed clock speed in the second iteration of the Japan-exclusive Super Game Boy that matches a portable Game Boy. Finally, the Super NES option makes the core match the Super NES 60.09 Hz refresh rate. This will reduce any stuttering. There's even MSU1 support for Game Boy ROMs that support that feature. Kitdrinks, another MiSTer FPGA core developer, tested a couple of Super Game Boy features and they all worked. The core is available for download in a MiSTer FPGA forum thread. If you want to get MSU1 support working on this core, you will need to replace the main MiSTer executable file with the one provided in the download link. There is no Amiga CD32 core for MiSTer. However, on the MiSTer FPGA subreddit, there is a post by user Caldor82 that explains how you can play Amiga CD32 games on the Amiga core. The first method described is by using SimCD32. This program comes from the Amiga Developer CD for users wanting to develop CD32 software. It's capable of mounting CD32 ISOs without the need of a CD-ROM drive. The other methods use IDE Fix and Squirrel CD32, but they both need the CD drive option. These programs give you the option to create a CD32 emulation boot disk. Squirrel CD32 needs to be configured in a specific way for it to work on the MiSTer FPGA, but it is mentioned that IDE Fix works with default settings. The process is explained in the Reddit post by user Caldor82. They also have a video on YouTube showing how it all works. Last week, core developer Jaleco gave us a hint on a new core he will reveal the following week. The hint was an action game with no scrolling. Some of you gave your ideas on what you think the game could be. I saw suggestions such as Smash TV, Cabal, and Konami's Rock and Roll. All games I would love to see on a MiSTer. Well, Jaleco has revealed the game and it turned out to be Pang, also known as Buster Brothers. The core is not available yet, but Jaleco shows us a picture of it running on the MiSTer and gives us some details on the hardware it runs on. It's interesting to see what he had to say about the hardware. Of note is that the game used a low-cost arcade board that did not offer any hardware scrolling at the time, something very rare at that time, but understandable considering the type of games made for the hardware. Games made for it were quiz games, board games, there's even another Arkanoid game made for it. So if you're developing a certain type of game for the arcades that does not require any scrolling and you need to save money, then you would use something like what Pang was made on. The core will be released next Friday, most likely for Patreon subscribers, but Jaleco did not specifically mention that it will be a Patreon exclusive. Mike Simone is hard at work creating more cores with Svideo support. He spent the weekend tuning some more cores and is hoping to finish 46 more cores. He also shows a video displaying the Luma trap that significantly improves the composite video quality. I'm currently testing his prototype adapter, and the Luma trap does wonders for the Genesis and Sega CD cores over composite. If you want more information on these cores, check out the description for some videos that talk about them. And other miscellaneous MiSTer fixes and updates are, core developer Ace has made a lot of maintenance updates to the following arcade cores: Gyrus, Jailbreak, Scooter Shooter, Time Pilot, and Time Pilot 84. Check out the MiSTer FPGA forum post I provided in the description to get the exact details of each core's fixes. The main MiSTer software now has automatic monitor default resolution detection through EDID. To use this feature, make sure video mode is not used in the MiSTer.ini file. DVI mode is also auto-detected if DVI mode option is not used in MiSTer. Additional V-scale modes were added by worker Waka. There's been a direct fix by Paul B&L. You can use a horizontal video filter for vertical in interlaced modes, and other video adjustments were made by worker Waka. And there's been other fixes and tweaks to MiSTer. So that's it for this episode. I provided links to all my sources in the description. Make sure you also check out retrorgb.com to see my MiSTer news videos in blog form and to get more retro related content. And if possible, support them on Patreon too. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button and its bell icon so you can get notifications of future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.